Good morning, students. My name is Gisela Siririka. I'm your tutor for Basic Information Science. And my presentation this morning will be based on the examination of April 2019, meaning that you need to listen very carefully for you to be able to pass. Okay? Our first slide will be on the outcomes, the module outcomes. As a student, you should concentrate on the following outcomes. You should be able to describe the basic information concepts, library procedures, and issues. You know, in library in science or in basic information science, which is also has a component of ISC or ICT. In schools, we call it information communication, ISC. We don't have the subject called basic information science anymore, meaning that like now you need to understand some of the concepts which are based on basic information science and IC. What are these concepts? Library procedures and issues. We have a lot of concepts in basic information science. We will come to that, where you need to define them. And then as a student, we should be able to differentiate between fiction and non-fiction books. What do I mean by fiction books? These are storybooks, novels. You can have books such as Raka, you know your fiction books which you are reading in schools. You can go to any school from grade 1 up to grade 12, or for pre-primary up to grade 12, you will have fiction books, story books. And non-fiction books, this will include all subjects. For example, history, mathematics, physical science, chemistry, environmental studies, natural science, textbooks. All those textbooks are falling under non-fiction books. If you go into a library, if you are looking for non-fiction books, you just go for subjects books. Then you should be able to differentiate between internet and the World Wide Web, www. You know it. You should try to differentiate between the two concepts. It's in your study guide. Make sure that you have the study guide. And then you should be able to differentiate or distinguish between valid and false information on the internet. You know, when you go on the internet, don't think that all the information are valid. Some information are false. People might go there and put things which are not true. You must try to make sure that you have the right information. You must evaluate the information on the internet. Don't trust all the information on the internet, okay? You should be able to explain computer information and library concepts, which I said at the beginning. What are these concepts? You should be able to know what a computer is. You should be able to explain what it is, okay? And you should be able to use it. And you should also understand the concept login, to open a computer, to log out. You know, when you are done, as you are logging out, you should be able to understand the concept library. What is a library? That building which you are seeing there, it can be a corner, it can be a box. Some schools will have their library just in a box, okay? You should be able to define that. What is a library? What is included in a library? And you should be able to know what a catalog is. You know, in a library, you will find a catalog system. You should be able to know it, where they put catalog cards, okay? The reference sources, as you are entering the library, you will have a corner for reference sources. These could be dictionaries, atlases, encyclopedias. You know, you should be able to divide these concepts. Journals, you will have journals. For example, at the NIET, we do have different types of journals from journal 1 up to, at the moment, maybe we are at 35 now. You know, you find different types of journals. You should know what it means. You should be able to explain it. In mass media, you should know what it is. You should explain what it means, okay? Fiction and non-fiction. This is what I said. Fiction is storybooks, novels. Non-fiction, these are subjects-oriented books. For example, textbooks in schools. And then you should be able to distinguish between facts, the truth, reality, and fantasy in fiction. You know, fantasy is these stories, you know, those stories. You remember the stories of the wolf and the jackal, you know, all those stories which are not true, where animals are acting as if they are human beings. And then you should be able to know the importance of developing a written culture. You yourself as a student, you should be able to read. You should be able to develop that in yourself. You should have that in yourself of reading. For you to be able to pass your exam, you must read. Read, understand, and answer your paper. Discuss how to develop a reading habit. You must be able to discuss. If you see such a question, you must know how to develop that. If you don't know how to read, how should I develop it? It's stated in your study guide. It's very clear there. And you should also name the rules on handling and carrying of books. If you have a book, for example, if you look at my book here, look at how it is folded. It means that I don't know how to care for it or how to handle it. You must know how to handle it. You must know how to care for it. You should not eat while you are using a book. Make sure that you are staying. You keep water far from the book, food and everything. A book must be cared for. Name different types of reference sources. This is what I mentioned already, the dictionaries, encyclopedias, and atlases, which you can find in the library. You should be able to differentiate between referencing and bibliography. You know, when you, for example, you are a student, you are requested to write an assignment, you are reading different types of books, a lot of books. You are reading from this book to this corner, from a newspaper to a textbook, to a dissertation, you read different types of books. We call it, this is the bibliography. But when you decide to select some of them, you select some of these, you cite them, you reference them in your assignment, that is a referencing. That is the selected ones. It's not everything. Everything is a bibliography. What you read, what you are selecting for that assignment or for that specific study, that's a referencing. Make sure that you make a difference between the two concepts as they are defined in your study guide. Explain how to evaluate information retrieved from the internet sources. This is also indicated there in your study guide, that you should know how to take the right information from the internet and not to take wrong information from the internet. There are certain criteria set in your study guide. Make sure that you read them. If you see the question, and that is always a long question, it can go up to 20 marks. And make sure that if it is 20 marks, it must mean 20 marks. Don't see 20 marks and just leave the page open, or you just write 2 sentences. Make sure that you answer for 20 marks, please. Because I have realized that students are really, you are disappointing a person, because if you don't know the answer, just try your best. Try to say something. Otherwise, you will lose marks for nothing. 20 marks means you write at least 2 pages. Look at the marks, and then you just try to answer it in your own words. Put it in your own words. Okay? Give your own examples from your own environment, from your local environment. Put it in your context. Don't think about me or trying to please me. Try to please yourself with what you know. Put it in your context. Give examples from your own area where you are staying. Okay? As long as you understand it, make sure that you understand. And discuss the criteria used when evaluating newspaper articles. This is the same. There are criteria used when you are evaluating a newspaper article. You find a lot of articles in newspapers. It's you to decide whether this is trustful or, not for you just to take everything from the newspaper thinking that it is correct information. You evaluate by using those criteria which is stated in your study guide. And you also look at the marks. If it is 10 marks, give it according to the marks allocation. And then you should be able to name and discuss the 10 main Dewey Decimal Classification. We call it DDC classes. Make sure that you know them from 000 to 900. Okay? You must know, if I say religion, you must know it's 200. If I say languages, you must know it's 400. If I say 800, you must know it's history. You must know them. Social sciences should be 300. Okay? You must know all these things. And then you should be able to name and discuss the library rules. There are rules in the library. When you enter the library, there are certain rules. No noise, no food, no water allowed. All these things, they are stipulated very clear in a library when you enter a library. And it's also stipulated in your study guide. Know them. You must be able to name them and discuss them. And you name the rules of handling and caring for books. As it was I said. It's just a repetition. And on the DDC, I have realized that some of you will only mention maybe just a 000 and that's it. Or you leave it open, or you mix them. That one you need to memorize it. DDC, you need to memorize it. You must not come and mix them, tell me that 200 is languages. No, 200 should just be religion, it will not change. It doesn't change. You should be able to explain the layout of a newspaper. The newspaper has the headline on the cover page, it has a sport section, it has education section. You know, you should know these things. You should be able to explain it, okay? And explaining means what? Explain, you talk. You give a reason why, okay? You justify things, not just to list them, okay? Make sure that you look at the action verb. If it says explain, then you come in. And explain will also not be out of 2 marks. Explain will be like 15 marks, 10 marks, 20 marks, you know. You look at the action verb for you to be able to answer that question correctly. Explain the features of different kinds of newspapers, okay? Now, whether a newspaper is a daily newspaper, weekly newspaper, monthly newspaper, is it a local newspaper, or is it a national newspaper, or international newspaper? You look at all those things. You should know this. If I say, you must explain. If I say daily, what does it mean, okay? And you should give examples from our own context, okay? A daily newspaper, for example, which one? Which are coming every day. Which one is it? Namibian, you know, you mentioned them. You explain the purpose of pamphlets and magazines. This is also stated very clear in your study guide. You should be able to explain the purpose. Just look at the concept, explain. Explain the concept of research. You must know what research means. You go and find out, you discover things, you want to know more, you know. That's when you define the concept, research, like here is to explain and not to define. Like now I'm just explaining. Research is to find out, you know, that's defining. You explain what it means when you say you go out to find out. To find out what? You tell us more. Tell the story of what it means, okay? Go deeper. Name the different data collection methods. As a student, you should be able to name the different data collection methods when you do research. You have different types of data collection method which you use. For example, interviews, questionnaires, survey, classroom observation. You know, you mentioned this. You look at the mark allocation. If I say 3 marks, you mention 3. 10 marks, you mention 10, but it won't go up to 10, no. You mention them, whether 5, 6, or 4, 3, 2, 1, you mention them, okay? Explain how to motivate the school board about the importance of a school resource center. You know, we have school resource centers. We have those years we used to call them libraries. Now we call it, the new concept is now school resource center. Or we have teacher resource centers as well. Now, if you have a school board at that school, how will you motivate them about the importance of the resource center? How will you do it as a student? Maybe you are the principal of a school and you want to convince one of the school board members. What will you tell them? It's there in your study guide. How will you convince them? What is the importance of a school resource center? Okay, you explain it to them. And the last one is explain how to go about compile a picture collection to illustrate a theme, for example, human rights abuses. This in your study guide is stated clear that you come to the freedom of expression, freedom of religion, you know, freedom of speech. You know, you come with all these human rights abuses, how people are abusing other people's rights. You don't want learners to talk in the class because you are the teacher. You want learners to be quiet. You don't want learners to belong to different types of religion. But in our constitution, it's very clear that we have the freedom of religion. Let learners have different types of religion. Let them belong to what they, you know, when you are in that classroom, let it not just be on the Bible. Don't just concentrate on the Bible. Also involve others, the Hindus, you know, Buddhism. You involve each and every religion in our system, which is part of the Constitution. Is stated very clear, even in the Education Act, that all religion must be respected. You should also make sure or know that all learners have the right to education. You can also talk to the parents and explain these things to them, that learners should be able, they have the right to come to school. They have the right to attend school. It's their right. Okay? Now, there are some mistakes which you as students make when you are preparing for the exam. Students do not have time to read questions clearly as they are so much in a hurry to answer the questions. When you get the paper, you are just in a hurry. You just want to finish. You don't read, you just want to finish. Make sure that you sit, you relax, you read the question, and then you start answering. Don't look at your friend and leave the room because your friend is done and then you just want to leave. No. Sit, understand, and answer the questions. Learners tend to presume the meaning of questions by reading half of it and end up with the wrong answer. When you just see the word explain, then you just think that you know the answer. Read the question. Or if I say explain the concept research, and the question is not finished and you just saw the concept research and you are just trying to, now you are just defining. You are not even explaining and you do not finish reading the question. Make sure that you read the whole question. You even jot down things and then you start writing. Okay? Don't think that I'm too clever, I know everything, I will just finish and go. No. As a student, you need to maintain calmness, be patient, and read the question clearly before answering any question in order to avoid silly mistakes. That is what I said. You need to be calm, patient, and then answer your question. Read instructions very carefully and ensure that you know what is required before you start writing. That is very important. You must read the instructions. I've realized that students don't read the instructions. They are just answering. The instruction is very clear that you answer this question A or B. You will find that you answered everything. I will just answer, correct the first one. The second one I will not. Or sometimes you are so, you don't have time to take one. You just give you a 0 for that question. Make sure that you read the instructions before you answer. Answer the questions in the correct order as they are. In the question paper, don't start, for example, with question 4.5, then write 1, 2, 3 at the end of the paper. This is confusing. I'm telling you, sometimes you start with a paper, and when you start marking, you see the question paper, the answer script start with question 3. And then you wonder, what is it? Why question 3? Where is question 1? You mark, you go on with your question 3, you go at the end, you find your question 1. This is confusing. Try to read, try to calm, and then you answer your paper. Please don't just be in a hurry. Otherwise, you will get a 0. Your answer have to be complete. Do not leave out parts of questions. This is what I said, that make sure that you answer all questions, please. Don't leave it open. You will get even 1 mark for that. Hesitate to go through the answer. Sometimes students are so much in a hurry to come out from the examination hall for no reason. Remember, we are human beings. Our eye-hand coordination and much more go wrong sometimes. Yes, sometimes what your eye see is not what the hand is writing, okay? Make sure that you don't make that mistake, okay? It is important to go through the paper, and before you close it up for the last time, you must go through it. Make sure that you are finished with the paper, now you go through it with time. You always also check your time. Don't just write without checking your time, otherwise when you realize that there is not enough time, then you will just be rushing, okay? So it is important to go through the answer paper before you close it up for the last time, okay? You never know. This is a simple step, can help you to notice mistakes, which can help save marks, okay? You think that, that's nothing, but it will help you. It will save your time. It will give you more marks also. Use clear and simple language. Don't come up with your expensive, sophisticated English words. Students lose marks in exam due to poor handwriting. Please make sure that you type. Okay, in the exam you cannot type, okay? You use your handwriting. Make sure that you have a good handwriting. Make sure that the other person can also read your work. You must plan your time wisely and write as quickly and neatly as you can, okay? This should ensure that you finish on time. Make sure that you finish on time, okay? Don't rush, and also don't take your time. There is a lot of writing that you have to do. Sometimes the whole paper will be just of 4 questions. Each question consists of 25 marks. Then it means that you need to write. You need to write. Start with the questions that you know the answer of the best, and then count the most marks. Make sure that you start with a question. If it is 20 marks, you start with that. And you must make sure that you start with a question which you know best. Okay? If you know that I know this question on fiction books, start with that one. Don't start with a question which you don't know, because it will waste your time. Please take the marks allocation for each question into consideration when determining the length of your paper. For example, do not write 2 pages for 3 marks or 2 marks. Better have half a page. And for questions with 15 marks, write at least 1.5 page to 3 pages and not 1 page, okay? 15 marks, now it's only 1 sentence. No, it doesn't make sense. Your style of writing should be friendly and warmly, please. Plan ahead. Always create a plan before you start studying. Make sure that you have your plan, that Monday I will do this, Tuesday I will do this time to this time, and your breaks must be inserted. Remember that this plan has to be achievable. You cannot just have a plan which is not achievable. You cannot have a plan which you cannot follow. You must follow it, and it must be achievable. At the end of the day, I must know that what I have planned has really worked. I achieved what I wanted. Okay? You create a timetable. Budget your time wisely to ensure that you cover all the topics covered in the exam. Make sure that you take your study guide. You take Unit 1 up to Unit 7, and you divide it into different times and different days to make sure that you know everything. Because don't take chances of saying that I will only study Unit 1 and Unit 3, or Unit 1, 3, and 5. Make sure that you read all the units. Understand them, because you don't know what is coming in the exam. Remember to take regular breaks and get out and exercise. Don't just sit and memorize and pretend as if you are reading while you are not reading, or pretending as if you understand while you don't understand. Okay? Start as early as possible. Don't cram. Cramming the night before is proven to be ineffective. Okay? You panic because you are taking in so much information at once that it's impossible to memorize it at all. Okay? Make sure that if you are going to write in April this year, you have started already. You must start today. Don't wait for April to come and then you want to start in March. No, start today. Plan. Ask for help. If you need help, you can ask someone who is good at this subject. You have your friend, your family, your teachers, call your colleagues, ask them to help you. If you don't understand what the person helping you is communicating, don't be afraid to ask them to elaborate. The person is explaining something to you and you don't understand. Ask this person to explain or to elaborate, to tell you more, to put it in own words, to give examples, to put it in your context. Then you will understand it better, instead of just being quiet and then you don't understand, you go and you fail. Take breaks. You need some time to have fun, and it is better to revise when you are feeling relaxed than to exhaust yourself studying all day. Now you are sitting the whole day, you are tired, you are thirsty, you are pretending as if you are reading or studying, but you are just wasting time with your music, Some people can study with music. It's a good thing if you can, but for me, I won't advise a person to study with music, because I think that your attention will be more on that instead of concentrating on what you are doing. Now, what is the best time to contact the tutor? To contact me sitting here. It will be good if you contact me from Monday to Friday, from 17 hours to 22 hours, and not from 23:17 or from 8 in the morning. No, please. Weekends, you can contact me from 8 o'clock to 20 hours, which is 8 o'clock in the evening. You are free to contact me. Make sure that if you don't understand, you contact me. Please, don't be afraid. I will explain things to you if you don't understand it. The exam format is the duration of the paper is 2 hours for each paper. Okay, each question paper consists of 4 questions, meaning that is question 1, we have question 2, question 3, question 4. Question 1 might consist of 1.1, 1.2, 1.3. Question 2, 2.1, 2.2, 2.3. Question 3, 3.1, 3.2, 3.3. Question 4, 4.1, 4.2, and 4.3. It might be up to 4.4 or 2.4. And it depends whether the question will be out of 2 marks, 5 marks, 20 marks, 15 marks. You must be ready for all that. Don't think that it's just 25, 25, 25. It can be 2 marks, it can be 9 marks, it can be 6 marks, it can be 5, it can be 15, it can be 12, no, it can be 20. Okay, and the total for the paper is 100 marks. The study materials these materials should be used for all exams. It means that's for April, August, and November. Okay? You should use all these materials for you to prepare for this coming exam, the 2018 April, August, and November papers, if you have them. If you don't have them, your study guide is there for you. You use the study guide of Basic Information Science by Ms. Chituka. It's written Magdalena Shimbongoro Chituka 2013, Year 2, Semester 1. Make sure that you have it. If you don't have it, you contact the IOL office. You come at Trasco building here, you contact them. You pay, make sure that you paid for it, or make sure that things are in order before you get the book. You cannot just get it free of charge. I can also not give you. And then make sure that you go through the assignments. You have your assignments of last year, 2018. Go through them. And then the presentations of April, August, and November 2018. Go through them. Study them. Understand them. And then you will pass. Thank you.